For the past 2 years, Anne-Marie Broomhead and her family say they've been living with persistent damp and mould in their council home. Conditions she believes are not only damaging the property, but could seriously affect their health and well-being. Anne-Marie, who suffers from asthma, says the situation has taken a toll. And despite repeated complaints, she says the problems remain unresolved. And Anne-Marie Broomhead is joining me in studio this morning. Good morning, Anne-Marie.
Hello, good morning.
Thanks so much for coming in to us. I suppose, where does this story begin with you? When did you arrive at this home?
We're in this property now 8 years. We went in a week before Christmas and we absolutely love the property where we were, and we still do, only for the issues that we have in the house at the moment.
Were you a number of years waiting to get housing?
I was 10 years on a council waiting list. I actually had to rent a property in Glenina first, and we were there roughly about 4 or 5 years. And then we moved from that property to where I am now in Clancy Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
So delighted to get
Yeah.
a new home for you and your family. For people who aren't familiar with that particular estate, can you describe the area that you're living in?
In Clancy Park itself, you're kind of in near enough to the centre of town. All our neighbours are very, very nice. Where I live itself, I have family up the road from where I am. Very close to both kids' schools. It's kind of a family, all our neighbours we had were very, very nice. All the kids grew up with each other in the estate itself, and
so a good sense of community.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And it still is. We have a lot of people there that help each other in the estate itself and look out for each other, because we would have, where I kind of am, there would be more elderly people.
Okay.
And we do. There's people looking out for people, and it's a nice estate to live in.
A nice, quiet community estate. Okay. So it's yourself, your husband, your 2 teenage children.
Yeah.
Where does the trouble begin here for you?
I suppose it's the conditions of the house itself. It's the mould and the damp in the house. We've went so far now to the housing director. There's nowhere else we can go with the council itself. We've had numerous councillors in town that have helped us really, really well, to the point from start to finish where they were the only ones that would get the council down to look at the house itself.
How long ago did you start the complaints process or making them aware of this?
Since 2024.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're now 2026. And since then, at the start, I suppose, there was appearing of mould in different areas, to where we are now, that we have water coming down off the handle of windows. We have extreme mould and damp coming in from the windows itself on the windowsill. So much so that at the side of the windows it's all damp. It's bubbling up paint, it's bringing rust underneath the foundation itself. And so every day that we kind of look, or every second day, there's mould somewhere else growing.
So you're trying to be cleaning the effects
cleaning
that off?
And it isn't working.
What other kind of actions are you trying to take, Anne-Marie, within the house?
We're wiping down, we're cleaning areas. We have heating on mostly every second day in the house itself, because the house is very damp, it's very cold. When you have that heating on, it doesn't stay inside the house. The house is freezing the next morning. So much so that you kind of have to double up going to sleep at night time.
And before you and your family moved into that house, was there any work undertaken by Clare County Council to prepare that for your family going in? Or what are you aware was the last round of works on that?
When I was talking to the housing engineer, they had told me they had windows done in the house. Now, from family members that have been there a long time, have told me there was no windows put into that house. There was no doors put into that house. When we went into the house itself, there was the previous paint that was on the walls was peeling off. And we had no floors in the house, things like that. So we had to do all that before we went in. Now, it took us nearly 2.5 years to try and get stuff put together for it to paint walls and do whatever else.
To make it a home?
Yeah. And there's people walking into houses now that have all that done for them, but we just didn't do it at the time. But because we needed to get to the house in Clancy Park where we were at the time, we had no other option, And I suppose for myself, the other kind of directions that we're doing in the house at the moment is, trying to make it less damp, less mould, but it's not working for us. We're wiping things away. And it's back in within 3 or 4 days again. And if you're looking somewhere else, there's more damp. And personally, I think it's from the windows in the house itself. But
obviously, people listening to this aren't privy to your facial expressions while you're explaining this, but I can see in your face it's quite upsetting.
It is, yeah.
What's been the most upsetting aspect of this in your home?
I suppose, trying to think of that, like you have kids sleeping in that, I suppose that's for us, like as adults ourselves, we can kind of pass it off. But if you've kids in a home, it's a different story,
It's impacting your family.
Yeah.
Can I ask you then, in terms of your conversations with the council about this, so you've tried to follow the pathway that's available for local authority tenants. What does that look like and what has happened so far?
So with the council itself, when you've got complaints starting off first, you ring them. So by ringing the council, they log calls. Then they get back to you. That's their form of what they tell you to do at the start. So we have rung and we've logged calls. Then we didn't hear anything, so we started sending emails. So these emails didn't go so far either. So then we went to the point of where we went to a local councillor in town. That local councillor then had sent emails up to them to say, look, this is what's happening in the house itself. And they responded then from the councillor itself, sending these emails up to them. They came down and they looked at the house, and we'd say now that would be maybe December of last year. That's the way we'll put it. They came down and they looked at the house itself. Now, there was an engineer and a housing manager with them when they came down. The engineer kind of came in, not very friendly towards us, we'll just put it that way. The housing manager was lovely. He kind of just stand there while the engineer went around the house itself. We showed the engineer different areas of the house and how bad it was since they had come down the last time. That engineer, all he had said to us was the council can't come down to wipe away a bit of mould. Okay. We've done what we've done and we can't do any more. And that was our reply we got. OK, I'm
going to read out the response. You received a written response on the 15th of December 2025, and it says, thank you for your letter of November and the photos. Please be assured we take all complaints in relation to council property seriously and that we do not push issues to one side as suggested in your letter. We appreciate you have had issues with dampness in the property in the past, and Clare County Council responded to those issues with a full reconstruction of the roof and also returned to install further ventilation in the roof. In relation to your photos, condensation on windows, particularly bedroom windows in the morning during colder months, is not unusual. Moisture is generated naturally within a house by breathing, cooking and drying, amongst other sources. Water on the inside of the window should be dried up daily before you open the windows to air the property. Any minor mould growth should be cleaned away on a regular basis, and there are many products available for this purpose. Air vents should be cleaned using a small brush. Control of minor mould growth is your responsibility as set out in the Tenant's Handbook available on Clare County Council's website, and you should address this as required during the winter months to prevent any build-up. While it is not equipment that the council provides, many householders also use a dehumidifier during the day within the house to reduce the moisture content within the house. This has the added benefit of making the room feel warmer, and so it goes on. It basically ends, we hope you can have confidence that the issues you have raised in your letter are normal and not a health and safety risk. It's up to you to rectify this.
Yeah, that's what they have said to us the whole time. Like, we've went so far now to go to the HSE environmental officer for them to put a report in before this letter had come to us, and like, I understand what they're saying, but on the other hand, like, they have painted a room twice with mould-proof paint. They have wiped away mould, and this mould is coming back and it's doubling around the house. It's just not in one area.
See, the issue here is, I looked this up last night, there's no explicit legislation. Like, Ireland lacks specific laws addressing mould in rented housing, but there are regulations on structural repair, etc. Now, the council did mention that they had done some work on the roof. Like, did that ease anything?
No, it didn't. No. Like, at the start, how we found out that the roof, we were just putting decorations away in the attic, and we found a hole in the roof itself, where it took the council a good 6-7 months to come down to even reply to our calls or emails that we have sent up about the hole in the roof. Has that been a big issue, the communication channels? Yeah, big issue, because, I mean, you could be sending emails there, you know that they're getting the emails, but who's getting them? Who is turning over that email to bring to the engineer? Or, you know, are they being looked at properly? I just don't know, you know. Calls are being logged there to the maintenance side, so it's going directly to maintenance. But who in maintenance are getting them, you know? And
I understand you're not the only one in that estate that's having issues.
No. We had like a neighbour next door to us that has moved out previously because of severe damp and mould. So much so that her and her family were very, very ill and very sick. Currently across the road there was another person that had moved out due to damp and mould as well. So it's 3 properties in the one. I will be in the middle. My neighbour was next door to me, and the other house will be straight across the road.
We have received a fresh response from Clare County Council on the back of telling them that we were going to be speaking to you this morning. I won't go through it fully because some of it just outlines what we had in that previous letter about what causes mould growth within a property. But it does say council tenants have a responsibility to not dry clothes within the house, use cooker extractors when cooking on the hob, exchange the air within the house regularly by opening windows, and to adequately heat the house. Tenants also have a responsibility to regularly clean surfaces which may suffer minor mould issues during the colder months to prevent mould spreading. And this is set out in the Council Tenants Handbook, and it says the council is engaging with tenants where mould issues arise and rectifying any matters which are the council's responsibility, and advising tenants where matters are their responsibility. Ultimately, do you feel this can be rectified, Anne-Marie, and are you willing to possibly look for another location?
Like, I would love to kind of stay where I am because the location is great for ourselves, but on the back of my mind, I suppose, like, with all this damp and this mould, like, we have been with the council for 2 years trying to get this sorted, and they haven't sorted it so far. So much so, it's, you know, in my way I see it is, it's just so much, it's damp now and it's very, very mould, and, you know, if they can't do or fix where I am, then we would need to move somewhere else. You know, it's not a likely option I'd like to take, but if it means that it stops me and my family from getting really, really ill due to this, then that's what we're going to have to do.
What do the kids think?
Like, I suppose, you know, 16-year-olds now, they kind of shrug everything off and they're like, okay, well, you know, and at the end of the day, it's like his room is severely affected by the mould itself. I suppose he has it in the background to say, like, why are we left behind? You know?
What do you say to that?
I don't know, like, it's broken promises, I suppose, in a way, to say, like, it will get fixed.
It's very difficult, Anne-Marie.
It is, yeah.
What do you do now?
I don't know. That's the thing. Like, this was our last option to come here. Apart from that, we don't have any other option.
You felt you had to go public?
Yeah. And to let people know. Because it isn't just us at the end of the day that are suffering with this. There's loads of other people that are too, you know. And I suppose at the end of the day, it's just a voice to let other people know that they can say something too. You don't have to feel like you're imprisonment in your own home because it's owned by the council itself, you know. And if you had engineers and other people that were willing to help, that would be brilliant, like, but for our situation it hasn't been.
Okay, we'll leave it there for now, Anne-Marie, and we really appreciate you coming in to tell us that firsthand. I know it was difficult and I don't like to see you upset. I'm sorry that this is happening. Anne-Marie Broomhead joining us there. She's a resident at Clancy Park, Drumbiggle Road in Ennis.